Let's continue with the 6-inch project. You're scrolling through Reddit at midnight, frustrated, wondering if there's anything you can do about your penis size. And then you find it. Jelqing. This ancient technique, thousands of forum posts swearing it works, guys showing supposed gains. It feels like hope. But here's what you need to know. That hope is built on nothing. I'm Dr. Stefan Buntrock, one of the most copied urologists on YouTube.
Hey guys, so if you know me, you know how very strongly anti-jelqing I am. I go on every forum, every video, every live stream, maybe not every time, but I talk about how potentially dangerous and in some cases ineffective jelqing can be. But here we have an actual urologist, an actual board-certified urologist that's going to talk about the dangers of jelqing. So even if you don't listen to me, okay, because hey, I'm a clown in a mask, who listens to me anyways? At least you can listen to this urologist that actually brings up real medical facts about jelqing. So for those that don't know, like just to establish baseline, jelqing is basically a principle where you get your D in essentially a semi-erect state, okay? And you make like an okay grip at the bottom of your D and like gradually move it towards the top of your D. And you're supposed to like basically expose it to different higher levels of pressure. If for some reason you lived under a rock and are just finding this channel, that's what it is. But we're going to go into all of the specifics right now about why this practice is so bad.
Let's start with some good news. The penis is not as fragile as you may think. In fact, when flaccid, it's hard to harm it. But here's something that'll probably surprise you. As soon as the penis starts to erect, you've got to be careful what you do with it. Jelqing is done in the half-erect state. Guys, you're just one step away from disaster. This is how my patients describe it. They jelq and poof, complete shutdown of the penis. Erection's gone. For good. I'll get to the reasons in a minute.
First of all, I do think it's very interesting to know that in the flaccid state, I mean, obviously he's a urologist, okay, but he's spot on. The D is actually very resilient. It's actually very hard to damage it unless there's like severe indirect trauma. But guys, how many times have you heard me say that exact same thing? I tried jelqing, all of a sudden I felt a pop, my D went soft, and it was never the same. Like, how many times have I said that? I've said it, and I'm a clown in a mask, and this guy has said it, and he's an actual urologist who's experienced guys that have had the same exact condition. And guys, if you haven't seen my video on hard flaccid, okay, I've made at least 2 videos on hard flaccid, but one of the most common things they describe is an injury at the base of an erect penis. I do think the mechanism is a little bit different from kind of what this paper is describing and what he's describing, but I do think that it does give similar credence to the fact that the more erect you are when doing any kind of exercise, the higher the risk of damage, which is also why I feel so strongly about like the potential risk of clamping.
But first this, jelqing has 0 scientific evidence. Not a little evidence, 0. The Sexual Medicine Society of North America looked at this. Major urological associations looked at this. Nothing. No peer-reviewed studies. No mechanism that actually works. Just anecdotal claims from the internet.
So I agree with this part, but I also don't agree with it. So maybe you guys already know this, but there's actually never been a clinical trial that proves that parachutes help saving lives when you're jumping out of an airplane. I know that's an extreme hyperbolic example, but the point is that the absence of evidence doesn't always mean the evidence of absence. Personally, like, do I think that guys have actually gotten bigger from jelqing? I do. I absolutely do. I have seen some like real shoddy before and afters on Reddit or whatnot, but I also know some like personal people that have jelqed and have gotten bigger. I want to be very clear. My problem with it is that I think it's dangerous. My problem with it isn't necessarily that I think it's ineffective. I think the risk to reward ratio is way out of whack. And I also think there's actually clinical proven techniques for like girth enhancement, for example, like the P-Long trial, which if you haven't seen my video, check it out. Now, I've been very critical of that trial. I actually know Dr. Brandeis. I'm going to be featuring him on the channel again, the urologist that ran the trial. But he showed length and girth improvements with essentially a use of an extender and a pump, okay? He also included things like PRP, but that's another, just watch the video. And guys, if you haven't seen my HINK trial video, where essentially people either did manual stretches or extending for length, and girth work, they only did pumping, where I proved with actual photos that you can see, you can click the link in the description and you can actually see the before and after of these guys that participated on the trial and got on average 1/2 inch in length and 1/4 inch in girth. In my opinion, there's like more proven, safer ways that you can gain. And so there's really no reason why you would jelq. I mean, I get it if you don't have the money to buy a pump and that's a way of increasing girth. I understand that, but I would still use caution against that. And I would recommend you do something like soft clamping instead. If you don't know what soft clamping is and you want me to make a video on it, leave it in the comments below.
So let's repeat the theory. You massage your half-erect penis from base to tip. Supposedly, this creates micro tears in the tissue. Your body heals them bigger, like muscle building. Yeah, but the penis is not a muscle, it's an organ. And yes, there's muscle inside, but a very special type of muscle. It's called smooth muscle. Not the kind you know from the gym. The penis is a complex system of blood vessels and elastic tissue. It is determined by genetics and what pregnant women eat.
This is just my opinion, but if you're ever listening to a guy talking about enlargement and he likens it to the process of actually like skeletal muscle hypertrophy, meaning like microcells create damage and the damage causes the muscle to come back and hypertrophy and get bigger, that's how you get bigger and stronger. If they liken that to PE, I would advise you to use extreme caution when listening to actually what they're saying because it doesn't make sense. That's not the process that occurs. Micro tears in the tunica can lead to basically scarring and permanent damage, which we're going to touch on in just a second. But the smooth muscle in particular can be very, very sensitive to change. And so any dynamic pressure changes like what occurs in jelqing it puts you at very high risk of not only nerve, but also smooth muscle damage.
Jelqing causes micro tears, not growth. On the contrary, it triggers scarring. Here's where it gets serious. Case reports from major urology centers document men developing veno-occlusive erectile dysfunction from jelqing. That's a fancy way of saying the tissue damage breaks your ability to maintain an erection.
So if you cause actual micro tears in the tunica, okay, personally, I've talked about this. I don't believe that's what's happening, and I have abundant clinical evidence, in my opinion, like papers like using the anti-lysyl oxidase, where it shows that the tunica actually dilates in an aneurysmal-like manner. That is the actual mechanism behind enlargement. But if you are truly causing micro tears, that can lead to a process called fibrosis, where the live tissue, the live smooth muscle actually turns into scar tissue and it doesn't function that well. Because it doesn't function that well, it doesn't expand. Your actual tissues in your penis can't expand and actually block off the veins that are supposed to be blocked off in order to keep the blood in your penis. And so that's how you can actually lead to venous leak. That's one of the methods behind it. It's not just about the veins not actually, like the valves not actually working, which I do think you can damage the valves in the veins by jelqing.
I've looked into this and I'm not sure whether this is a problem of veins. Rather, I think it could be related to overstretching or traumatizing penile nerves. That would make more sense given the typical medical history and course.
Yeah, here we go. Spot on. This is exactly what I'm talking about, okay? I think it's damage to the nerves and it's damage to the smooth muscle and damage to just the sensitive structures in your penis in general. They're not used to that rapid pressure change. They're used to a gradual engorgement and development of an erection. But when you actually take your hand and then force that pressure distally, especially if your tissue is not conditioned for it, you are at a high risk, guys. I don't know how many more times I have to say it. Once again, just my opinion. And I'm sure there's that guy in the comments right now, I jelqed for 5 years and I never had any problems whatsoever.
Don't do the voice.
If that's you, bro, more power to you, okay? I liken this to people who are like, well, I never wear a seatbelt and I've never gotten in an accident. Okay, that might be the case, but you're putting yourself at a higher risk from doing that. But hey, if jelqing is right for you, just let me know in the comments why you do it and why you like it. If you don't like jelqing, also let me know in the comments.
We've documented Peyronie's disease linked to jelqing. That's penile curvature and fibrosis. We've seen bruising, pain, permanent numbness, tissue damage. These aren't theoretical risks. These are real complications in real patients. Next week, I'll see the next victim. Let me put it this way. It's dangerous advice. Treatment will cost you thousands of dollars, success not guaranteed. So think twice before you engage in this.
So guys, this is an excellent point, and I'm not trying to be cliche or whatever, but I talked to some of these guys. Some of them have used a water pump, pressed it into their pelvis too hard, and water shoots out. The pressure rapidly increases. They feel a pop. D goes soft. They have major problems, hard flaccid. I've also seen the same thing happen with jelqing. They go to jelq, they're moving their hand up, and all of a sudden they hear or they feel a pop. D goes soft, and they can't get hard again. And it's heartbreaking because some of these guys are very young, and some of these guys get very, very, very black-pilled, if you know what I mean, and even think about self-deleting because they're young guys, they're 19 years old, and their D doesn't work anymore. I understand that jelqing is arguably one of the most popular types of PE. There was actually recently an article that I was featured in GQ, and it was like, is jelqing the key to a bigger D? I love the dude that wrote the article. I hate the title because it's so misleading. Jelqing is dangerous, and in my opinion, it should never be done. And along with this, guys, and I've said this before, There's a lot of people who put out a lot of different things about like, oh, well, traditional gelking is potentially dangerous, but what you need to do is a modified version. It's like, it's not about like alleviating the pressure on the superficial dorsal nerve, in my opinion, okay? I'm just one guy. Listen to other people. If it makes more sense, do you? It's about the fact that it's a dynamic exercise and it's rapidly changing the pressure in the D, and sometimes to very high internal pressures. It's like, it literally is almost like dynamic clamping. It's like if you were to get like super duper lubed up, put on a cable clamp and like gradually move it up your D, it's kind of akin to that. And so it can just be very, very dangerous. Here's a urologist talking about the guys that he sees in clinic and they're desperate for help. And some people can't actually be helped, guys. So just please consider that warning.
Now, I get why you think it's a good idea. You see your penis as something you should be able to control, to improve, to fix. There's dignity in that impulse. But gelking isn't control. It's harm disguised as action.
Guys, I love this quote. I mean, he's like, I understand. You want to get bigger. You want to do something about it. But guys, gelking is harm disguised as action. That is like poetic. If I had a Facebook page, that would be like my like quote. Okay, like gelking is harm disguised as action. But it's true, guys.
We have real options. Penile traction therapy, actual devices, studied, measured, safe. Men using these gain an average of 1.6 centimeters or roughly an inch with documented safety.
So once again, guys, here's a real urologist saying there are ways you can actually enlarge your penis, which have been clinically proven. Now, guys, 1.6 centimeters is definitely not an inch, okay? 2.54 centimeters is an inch, okay? So we're talking about like 3/4 of an inch or so. But the point is that there's really documented evidence that you can do this. So once again, for all you like PE deniers out there, which probably aren't on my channel, here's a urologist telling you can increase the size of your penis by about 3/4 of an inch. So it is possible. I have so much content on this channel alone for free, like my extender playlist, my pumping playlist. If you haven't seen my heat trial video, you should check it out. But there are real ways that you can get bigger.
But if you're doing this because you think your penis is too small when it's anatomically normal, that's not a penis problem. That's a narrative problem. And the solution isn't gelking. It's talking to someone who understands male sexuality and can help you separate internet myth from reality. A therapist, a urologist who gets it. Penis size has a lot to do with genetics.
I really love the message here. I love the message. It's like, oh, the problem isn't with your size. The problem is what the message that society's sending you. It's like, yeah, I get that. But just like, oh, just talk to a therapist. Like, I really feel truly that there's a lot of guys that would not go to that. Therapy just wouldn't help. And that for me, therapy was actually being able to know that there was something out there that I could actually do that would actually make my D bigger. And so I think for a lot of guys, like actually doing enlargement exercises is like literally the definition of therapy. So I don't like that he's just like, oh yeah, just talk to somebody. The problem's not with you, it's with society. It's like, yeah, we know that, but that's not really practical advice in my opinion. So guys, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know what you think, okay? What do you think about gelking? Do you think it's actually as dangerous as me and this urologist are making it out to be, or do you think it's something that can be done safely and lead to real gains? What's been your experience? Now guys, if you want to learn how to get bigger in a step-by-step course based on real, actual published medical literature, consider using my course. The link is in the description below. If by some chance you gelked or you pumped too hard and you have hard flaccid, I also have a course on hard flaccid. It's only $20, and if you use the code HINKRX, it'll give you 50% off of that. So it's a $10 video course, guys. Consider checking that out if you're interested. Remember, you're so much more than the size of your D. There's nothing wrong with self-improvement, but you are enough just as you are. All right, guys. Peace and love.
Dr. Hink got the plug on the health, yeah. Got you thinking about your wealth, yeah. In his office, no stealth, yeah. Pinnacle of that below the belt, yeah. Checks and balance, he's managing. Working miracles, no damage. Got you covered, no panicking. Steady calm. In the clinic, no vanishing. Yeah, with Doc Hink, it's the way back.